We have Chris Smith and Allyson from Wikihow and Chris from Civic. Will show us how the identity solution works.
Sure. You guys hear me? Okay, cool. Nice to be here. I've spent 10 years in the ad tech space, so it's kind of funny that I'm up here presenting a non-ad tech company. But I want to thank the founders panel because they basically teed up the user identity discussion quite well. So because we've seen like 7 presentations, I thought it would be good for us to just quickly refresh on Civic, and then we'll go into our discussion.
As the world transitions from the physical to the digital, having a secure and simple way to manage your identity is more important than ever. That's why Civic created the Secure Identity Platform. It's a bit like a digital wallet that bridges your physical and cyber credentials. To see how it works, let's meet Janice. Janice is going on a trip, and she needs to identify herself several times along the way, starting with the purchase of a plane ticket. Janice's travel booking service is a Civic business partner, so they simply send Janice a QR code to request her information. Janice provides the requested information directly from her mobile device, where that information is stored fully encrypted. Now Janice can use that same device to verify her identity at the airport check-in counter, at the security check, and when she gets to her hotel, using her fingerprint each time to prove that she is the owner of that data. No username or password required. This voluntary exchange of data happens directly between Janice and any organization that requests her information, like a hotel or a bank. When there is a request for additional data, it gets added to her Civic app, and she builds up trust in her digital identity. Each organization receiving her data independently validates her identity on the blockchain. That means Janice's information is trusted, and she can have the low-friction experience she deserves. Contact the Civic team to learn how you or your business can benefit from the Civic Secure Identity Platform.
So initially, Shaylee said we couldn't use PowerPoint, so we were going to use these fun cards. Our marketing team put a lot of effort into it. We'll make sure we'll let them know. But so obviously we're talking about identity, right? So coming from the ad tech space, I spent 10 years that I was at Adapt TV, Collective, and Turn. So I understand publisher and advertiser side. And I think that this is a really interesting conversation. And what I want to walk you guys through is how Civic can help the advertising world, right? So when Shaylee and I met in San Francisco, it was a really great discussion specifically on how the IAB is thinking about using the blockchain. So when Civic thinks about identity, we think about consumers or a user's identity. So everything that's happening today with GDPR, the regulations that are happening in California around consent-based sharing of personal identifiable information, Allyson's going to show us how we actually accomplish that, our partner from Wikihow. So, but when we think about it, it's really changing the way that things have been happening for the past 10 years, right? So someone mentioned earlier Cambridge Analytica, where us as users have just been permitting everyone to take our information, not fully understanding what's really happening in the world today. So what Civic is really focused on is, as we're looking forward, something Brian was talking about, as where the blockchain is going to go, being able to share your identity with whoever is requesting that information and then be able to validate it on the back end is what we're trying to solve, right? So the access today, it's very simple for us as users, right? We have a username and password, we're logging into our social media accounts, and we're really not sure what that data is being used for on the back end. Well, that just got shined on us a couple months ago, right? So recently, one of our big social media colleagues in the industry said they have 1 million fake accounts a month that they're trying to deal with, right? So one of the things that we're trying to solve is getting to that one-to-one user so that it's validated by the blockchain through the Civic application, right? So you're not sharing information that you don't want to be sharing with anyone that you're not giving that information that permission to, right? So there's a choice, right? There's a choice between convenience. Do I want to just log in through, say, Facebook Connect? Do I want to log in through Google? Do I want to go through the login process? Or do I want to ensure that I have the security measures that are in place that are powered by the blockchain to give permission and consent to those people that I'm sharing information with? And users are confused. About a third of people are like, whatever, I'll just give my information, no problem. Another third are becoming more concerned about their security and their privacy when it comes to their data. And the other third is kind of a mixed bag. But when you start breaking it down, when we're starting to share financial or starting to log in to share things like our banking information, 2/3 of consumers are more concerned about sharing data. And so they need more ways to validate who they're sharing information with. So we talked about Janice, so let's meet Jane. So it's probably the same person generally. So Jane is generally concerned about where her information is going. Maybe she's heard about GDPR. Maybe she's starting to listen to what's happening in the news about Cambridge Analytica, things like that. But she's a consumer of media, just like we all are. And so she wants the access to certain things, certain articles, access to videos about how to do this on Wikihow, read the New York Times, so on and so forth. And Jane is very accustomed to just sharing her personal information. And what's starting to happen is Jane is starting to get a better sense of, I need to be able to give consent to access certain attributes about who I am as an individual. Has anyone gone through a home loan recently? No one. One. Okay, one. So generally when you're going through the home loan process, they perform KYC or Know Your Customer services. And if you're applying for home loans from multiple banks, you're generally filling out the same form over and over again. So one of the things that Civic is trying to do is to help consumers reuse their KYC information. So as you add to your Civic profile, let's say that you're asked for your driver's license or your utility bill, or maybe you're an accredited investor and you need to provide some information about your investments. As you build your Civic ID and those that are requesting information from you, you're able to share that with those that are requesting. And we have validation companies on the back end that are validating that that's actually you. So once your driver's license has been validated, you can then reuse that information with Wikihow, with Vice, with whoever might be requesting that information so that it's easier for the consumer. And what that starts to do is it starts to break down this wall for the consumer. So anyone that's using the Civic login, we have a login service similar to Facebook and to Google login. And what it starts to do is authenticate you via your device, right? So there's 5 certain points that we get, that you need to validate. You need to have a validation of a biometric. It could be your finger or your thumb. It could be a facial recognition. We're going to do 2-step authentication on you to validate that that's your phone, tying it to your device ID through your email and your phone and a text message. So we have 5 points to validate who you are. And as you're building your Civic ID, that information can be shared to log into Wikihow. It could be shared to log in to your bank. It could be shared to validate that that's you with a relationship with an advertiser, that one-to-one relationship that we're all striving for in the industry. It could be used for a lot of different things. And so one of the big things that we're really focused on is helping have one ID across many devices. So when I'm logging into Wikihow from my phone, on my television, on my tablet, on my laptop, it's Chris. It's me every time because I'm validating through a QR code and a scan with a biometric tied to it, right? So we're going to go ahead and just give you a quick, and then lastly, we want to be able to move to this QR code base so that it's validated across the partner, Wikihow, and also across the app, which is decentralized on the blockchain. So I was just going to show you a quick example of that. So you have it, and then Allyson's going to go forward. So this is a great example of how you can leverage the blockchain to do reusable KYC to log into a specific website, your bank account, could be multiple different things to validate who you are. So here it's going to ask for some specific information. So it's going to ask to scan an identity document. And what it's going to do, it's going to capture that, it's going to validate it. And once it's been validated through a third-party validation company, you are then able to reuse that identity over and over again. So if someone else asked you for your California driver's license, you wouldn't have to go through the same process again, right? So as we're validating different points of your identification, you're building your Civic ID and you're building your Civic profile so that you can then share that information with those that are requesting. So in this example, Zach has been authenticated. We're delivering this information to Token Market, which is a big platform for ICOs, so that Zach could potentially become an investor. And as Zach is building his profile, there's going to be additional information that, in this case, Votum is going to ask from a voting perspective. So each step that you're being asked for a specific piece of information, you're going to be authenticating each and every way. And as you're adding new elements to your Civic ID, that information is going to be stored within your Civic ID to take with you anywhere, any device, anywhere in the world. So if you move to a different country, you're okay because your Civic ID will be tied to your app. Any questions before Allyson goes? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Allyson. I am the Director of Marketing for Wikihow. So we're not WikiLeaks. Wikihow is a how-to, just want to clarify. Wikihow is a how-to website with over 180,000 how-to guides on almost how to do anything. We have over 150 million unique visitors come to our website every month. We're live in 17 languages, and we're show up in 240 different countries and territories around the world. So we have a presence because we have a lot of this great content. But that content, which is essentially our product, wouldn't be possible without volunteer contributors. So we're a wiki. We're based on a wiki structure. We're open source, and our volunteer editors are required to log in if they'd like to add knowledge. We're a knowledge sharing platform, essentially. So with Civic, the Civic partnership is actually really helpful and important for Wikihow specifically as a publisher for two reasons. One is from a user experience perspective, it's really streamlined, super easy. We're going to demo it for you in a second, like Chris mentioned, for users like Jane and Janice. And then it's also really helpful for us as publishers to allow users to log in and feel confident that we're GDPR compliant. I'm sure there's going to be more GDPR-esque compliance processes we're going to have to go through in the future. We believe that that's kind of here to stay. So it's really important that we kind of jump in there now. And then it's a win-win as well for Wikihow. We're able to share confidently with our advertisers and with the 150 million uniques that come to the site every month, that the people who are contributing this content for free, essentially, are verified users. The people that are logging in with the Civic app, we can feel confident knowing that they've been checked out, essentially, through this blockchain technology. And so I guess, do you want to go ahead and do the demo?
Yeah, do your phone.
All right. Okay, so I'm logging into the Civic app on my phone. Some nice biometric action happening. So when I want to log into my account on Wikihow, I don't know if everyone can see, I essentially swipe to scan the QR code, which will pop up through the Civic login.
I think I just need to refresh, sorry.
Cool.
Not working. Wikihow. Maybe it's my laptop. Okay, great. You want to come?
No, I tried it out on my browser on my phone, and then was able to go into the Civic app, and it worked.
It's super straightforward, and that for a publisher as well is so important. We want to be able to offer our users a super easy, streamlined service like Civic. Awesome. Okay, I'm logging into Civic. Let's see if this works. Does it work on the...
Yeah, do it then.
I wonder if it's an internet.
Should be.
Let's try this real quickly. We'll slide to scan.
I can do it too if your phone's not working.
Here we go. Awesome. All right, we can go through an account creation. Nope, I'm in my profile. Now I can, this is a benefit for us as a wiki for our physical product. Now that I'm logged in, relatively seamlessly, relatively quickly. I can make edits to the site. I can share knowledge. Maybe I've just inherited a really great family recipe, loaded up on Wikihow. So I'm able to do so in a way where I feel secure about the data that I'm contributing to our website, the data that I've provided to Wikihow, which in this case is my email, my phone number, and feel secure as a user. And then on Wikihow's end, as a publisher, we can know that, hey, this user that just logged in has been verified through this blockchain technology, and we can feel confident sharing that one-to-one information with our advertisers, with other users, and with our larger community of that 150 million unique monthly visitors.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Allyson. Any questions? In the back, I see one hand.
Yeah. Mac, why would a user want to log in through Civic on Wikihow as opposed to Facebook?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think users are becoming more aware of their information being shared within the Facebook platform because of things like Cambridge Analytica. So I think as users get more inept with what's going on with people using their data, without them knowing it, I think consent-based models like this are going to become more prevalent, and we're seeing it every day. We're having a lot of conversations with publishers and advertisers and governments that are looking to request information about consumers. So I think as the education picks up about how people are actually using data, that consumers and where Civic is available, they'll continue to log in. Yeah. Next question. Yeah, so whatever information you're requesting, Civic, you can then, as the requester, validate through us, right? So if there are different questions that you're asking through the Civic app and through our API, if you're looking for specific information about me, I will have to voluntarily give that information back to you. So one of the things that we've recently launched is this notion of identity since birth with something called ID codes, where if you and I have a personal relationship or a business relationship, we need to validate that each other has that relationship, and you'll essentially start building up your ID code profile so that if I ever showed up on your website and I wasn't validated, we may not have a business relationship there, right? So as we continue to build our digital identities up, we want to validate that we actually have a relationship, whether it's person to person or business to business. Yeah.
I'll have to stop here. You can talk to him later on.
Yes.
Okay.
I want 20 minutes and we've got 2 more presentations to do.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.